welcome to this edition of AWTC Presents HERstory, a series where we feature different members from AWTC. I'm your host, Cecilia Sepp. I am also a member of AWTC, and I'm currently serving on the marketing committee. In this episode, I am pleased to welcome Kelsey Casselbury, who is also on the marketing committee in 2024. And we're really looking forward to learning more about Kelsey and her association experience. So, Kelsey, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me. I'm Kelsey Casselbury, and I'm currently the Director of B2C Content at SHRM, which people might know as the Society for Human Resources Management. And at SHRM, I lead a team of 13 writers, editors, and podcast producers to produce the majority of our content at SHRM. So everything from our daily news articles to our newsletters, which range from daily to monthly and all in between, as well as 3 of our 5 podcasts that are released weekly at SHRM.
That is an amazing array of communication content. And I love that there are 5 podcasts at one organization. That's really cool. So
I'll
you
say 2 of them are managed by our B2B content team, but we work so closely with them that it's a great relationship.
Oh, that is great. I love hearing about teamwork and people working together across departments. You have a great background in communications and all the things that go into that. But how did you get started working with associations?
Yeah, I've been in associations for about 12 years, and I think a couple of years in, I realized that the association industry is where I wanted to be. My background is in editorial, almost, well, from the majority of my career, it was almost exclusively in editorial. Degree in journalism from Penn State, worked at a daily newspaper, then moved to a monthly city magazine in Annapolis, Maryland, which is near where I live. And then in 2012, I was hired at the School Nutrition Association as a communications specialist, which part of my role there was to be the associate editor for their monthly magazine. And then I just started kind of climbing in the communications and editorial department there, eventually becoming the managing editor, working closely with the editor-in-chief of that publication. I did take a little bit of time off from SNA to work for another very small medical association closer to where I worked at the time. I had a 2-year-old. The commute was killing me, as many commutes in DC do. And then I spent 5 years as a contractor, but mostly working as a contractor for the School Nutrition Association. In 2022, once the director of marketing left, they asked me to come back on board on staff as content director. And I stayed in that role until November 2023, when I went back to doing freelancing, contracting for a while, and then started at SHRM in September of this year.
That well, you have really traveled the whole spectrum of size and scope. That's really great.
Everything from SHRM's approximately 330,000 members down to SNA's 50,000 members, down to it was the Association for Professors of Gynecology and Obstetrics, very niche, as you can tell, which I think only had maybe a couple thousand members.
Wow. That's really well, and again, the whole spectrum of size and scope. That's wonderful. So you have a lot of experience, 12 years in association. So can you share with us a time you felt really good about your work?
Yeah. So when I was brought back on staff at SNA, my role was no longer completely editorial. In fact, for about a year before I went back on staff, I contracted full-time with their marketing and communications department and started taking on a lot of marketing tasks, which eventually led me to seek out my professional certified digital marketing professional. That I did not say that right. From the American Marketing Association. But I was originally brought back or brought on as a contractor for that department because they were undergoing a website redesign, complete overhaul, and they needed someone to help with the content. So I was there from the start of the RFP process. In coming back on staff, it really became my baby. I was so proud of it. And we work really closely with Ray Van Hills, which I know a lot of our members will know, and Diane Samuelson from Yoko, to just completely redo our website. We added new features. I have been championing a K-12 school meals recipe database. Hopefully people know that the food that's served in schools have to meet very strict federal school nutrition regulations. And I thought it was a little crazy that here we are, the premier school nutrition association, and yet we didn't even have a hub for recipes for members to use in their programs. So we added that. We added this fantastic resource library that could be searched and filtered. And we debuted it after about a year and a half, 20 months of working with Yoko. That would have been in August 2022. Dates are tricky.
They do
I was
kind of
already
get together.
Yeah. And I was already so proud of it. It was so well received. And it wasn't just me, obviously. It was the team at SNA, especially the marketing communications department. We had this amazing web specialist, Patricia Alatrista, and of course, the VP of marketing communications, Danielle Duran-Barron, who was also leading the whole process, and other people at SNA. So we were already so proud of it, but it just got all that much better when we found out the next spring that we had won ASAE's Gold Circle Award for best website. That was just, the cherry on top, and being able to be the person to represent SNA at MMC Plus Tech to accept that award as well. We had also won Best Video Award that year, so it was a double whammy of amazingness. But
Oh,
I was so honored to be able to accept that on SNA's behalf.
it's really exciting. It's so wonderful to put your heart and energy into something and then have it publicly acknowledged. That is the cherry on top.
To date, my biggest career victory, my professional highlight of my career. I'm still, I've moved on from SNA, but I'm still so proud of it.
Oh, that's wonderful. You should be proud of it. So, you talked a lot about how you use online tools like websites to communicate. So, what advice helped you in your journey as a woman in tech?
Yeah, so I think like many people who are introduced to AWTC, maybe kind of through a back channel, I happen to be introduced to AWTC by meeting Carrie McGovern. I was introduced to her at an ASE conference, and she said, "Oh, join us for a happy hour." And then that's at one of those, I met Jill Treby, who discovered that I also do graphic design. On the side, I do graphic design for the American Chemical Society. I'm the art director for their quarterly high school magazine called Chem Matters. So I guess it's another way I'm involved in associations still. Um, Jill found out that I do graphic design, and she went, "Oh, we could use you on the marketing committee." And I was happy to oblige, ended up doing until recently, doing all the graphic design that you would see out of AWTC, whether it was social media posts. I still do all the signage for the events. And so I love doing that. It's very fun to be able to give back to AWTC in that regard. But going back to what I was going to say, I like to tangents. Um, when they asked, "Oh, would you be, interested in being involved in AWTC?" I thought, well, I'm a marketing person. I'm an editorial content person. I'm not in tech. I'm not a leader in technology the way I see other people being leaders in technology. And they said, "No, no, no, no. You use technology, don't you?" And I was like, "Well, of course I use technology. It's 2020, whatever." And then you belong at AWTC. So since then, I've really embraced the idea that even though I'm not in IT, I'm not in any of those fields, I am still a person who works in association technology. So everything from Yoko, just Ray and Diana, Yoko just taught me so much about website technology and the user experience and creating member value through our websites. To now I've been exploring, other tools, AI. You can't talk about AI enough, right? Even when it's sometimes
Right.
exhausting. But as a content professional, when ChatGPT came out, of course, I'm sure you understand as a writer, we're just like, whoa, like, no, no, this is not okay. We don't want it. But in the years since, just found we're being highly encouraged to use it as a tool and not a substitute for what we do. I found
Right.
that it can just really make my job a lot easier. Things that, such as creating outlines for articles, instead of sitting there for an hour looking at my research, going, how do I even put this together? Uploading that research into, we actually use Jasper at SHRM. So I had to learn a new generative AI platform. Uploading my research into Jasper and saying, okay, here's what the article is about. Here's the audience it's intended for. Here is the general length of the article. Create an outline for me. And it puts together, subheads, bullet points, and I'm not always going to use that particular outline, especially not, bullet for bullet, but it gives me a place to start. And that can take an hour or more off of just that simple process of writing an article. So
Mhm.
I think in using technology, it is all about using it smartly. I think that there are tools you use every single day that you don't think of as being really technology. I mean, like a silly example is that formerly as a full-time freelancer, I needed to track the time devoted to different clients, even if they weren't paying me hourly. I wanted to know what the return on time investment was. And I use a little tool that I've introduced to people called Toggle, Toggl. It's a free time tracker, and it's like that's technology. That's making your life easier, even if you are thinking like, oh, I'm just tracking time, but otherwise I'd have to be writing down. Every time, I switch to something new, I'd have to write down, I'd have to think, okay, do the math. How long was I doing this?
Right.
It's my life easier.
Wow, it definitely does. And so it sounds like good advice you got along the way was join AWTC, which
Well,
I
I mean, yeah, changed my whole perspective on what technology was, who people in association technology were, and how it can really make your job just easier.
Yeah. And you started talking, I know we're all talking about artificial intelligence, and made some good points about it so far. So it sounds like you see that is where technology could be leading associations in the future. But where else do you see technology leading associations?
Gosh, I think it goes back to the whole technology that you don't really think of as technology. I'm struggling to think of other things off the top of my head, but I know at SHRM they're constantly innovating in all departments. Constantly, our amazing website is it constantly evolving work in progress, where our website strategy team is doing so much to improve the member experience, from website personalization and all of that. At that point, even though I like to think that I'm pretty website savvy, all of that is just above my head, but it's exciting to help with that, technology transformation for, in terms of the user journey when it comes to content, and making sure the members are seeing what they need to be seeing. They have access to the things that they're really going to help them in their career. And I'm all about, I actually don't like this phrase, because I think it's so cliche, but like it's cliche for a reason. Like that teamwork makes the dream work. I'm all about breaking down departmental silos, all about the cross collaboration. I think that is how you really, in technology and in all facets of your work, like that's how you really succeed. No one does anything in a vacuum.
That's right. No, I agree 100%. And so I really like hearing about how at SHRM they really do a lot of cross collaboration. So you've talked a lot about AWTC already. So I'm going to ask you what could be a bit of a stumper. What do you like best about AWTC?
No, 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 that's not a stumper in the slightest. I've talked to a lot of people, obviously hair in my lip. I've talked to a lot of people about AWTC, and so many of them, especially because, I'm in content, so many people, so many again are like, I'm not in technology. I don't understand why I would join this. And I give them the whole, well, do you work with technology? Then you're in association technology. But the biggest thing I tout is that networking, that support. From just the moment I stepped into, well, not only just the happy hours that I had joined for a month or two before I officially joined AWTC, but my first true event with them was AWTC Advanced last year.
Mhm.
From the moment I stepped into that event, I just felt supported. I had recently left SNA. I was not sure kind of what my next move was going to be. Um, and the women and the men, of course, were just there
Mhm.
to to support me in my next move. And I've made so many great relationships in the association, so many strong female leaders, so many
Mhm.
women to take inspiration from who I'm just seeing do great things, that it just makes me want to be a better professional woman working in associations. So I am always encouraging other women and associations to look into it. I mean, it's a free membership. Of course, donate to WWTC programs, but if you're unsure, there's nothing to lose by trying it out. I recently invited, I work with the mentorship program for the American Marketing Association's Washington, D.C. chapter. I invited my mentee, her name is Mallory, to attend AWTC Advanced this year, along with the happy hour. It was her first AWTC event. She drove down from Frederick, and she said
Wow.
it was resoundingly worth it. She was thrilled to be part of it. She's applied to be on next year's marketing committee because she works in marketing. And I just don't think you can overstate the importance of that community when in your profession.
I think, well, that is a great wrap up to this conversation, Kelsey. You
Absolutely.
have covered everything about technology and why people should join AWTC. It's been a real pleasure talking with you and hearing your enthusiasm for your work. So thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much.
Well, this has been this edition of AWTC Presents Her Story featuring Kelsey Casselbury. Uh, and we are so glad that Kelsey shared her story with us today. If you would like to learn more about AWTC, Association Women Technology Champions, as Kelsey said, you don't have to be in IT, you just have to be a champion for technology and its use. Check out the AWTC website, awtc.tech. You can learn more about our no fee membership, which is the most valuable no fee membership in the world. And you can learn more about all of our upcoming events. We have multiple events every month, both virtual and in person. And you can learn more about the 2025 AWTC Advanced Conference, which I think will become your favorite conference too. I know it's mine. That's it for this episode of Her Story. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.